All right. Welcome, everybody. It is 7 o'clock Wednesday night, and we are Sex
Where's Sex
Bomb.
Bubble? Where's my things?
If you don't know what I'm talking about, we are talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World
Scott
2010
Pilgrim versus the
film. So, but before we do that, as usual, Marybeth has news.
We have news tonight, March. What is it? No, April. Good Lord.
It's April, folks.
April 5th. Happy First Contact Day, everyone.
That's right.
Only 40 more years until the Vulcans get here.
So the Vulcans get here.
Woo! I, for one, cannot wait. I will have more Star Trek news at the end of the segment, but first, I have Scott Pilgrim news since we're doing Scott Pilgrim tonight. Scott Pilgrim is leaving Netflix on April 30th, so if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it now. But breaking news, and they were just talking about this just this past Sunday at the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo. After years of wishing and hoping and praying and dreaming, whatever, the team behind Scott Pilgrim is gearing up for a comeback. Netflix has announced it's going to create a full-blown anime, and most of the cast is in. They are down. They want to do it. Star Chris Evans was actually in Chicago at that event and talked about the comeback, saying, yeah, the entire cast was like, yeah, zero hesitation. They're all like, yep, just let us know when we're in. So that could be cool. That could be fun, since it did, in fact, start as like a manga comic. The Blue Beetle trailer dropped. Do I care? Should I care? I'm not familiar with Blue Beetle. If any of you guys know,
Me either.
Like, this is DC. This is not Marvel. Should I be paying attention to that or no?
Marvel's starting to throw whatever it can at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Well, they are too, but Blue Beetle kind of feels like DC is too.
Well, no, I mean, I'm sorry. Did I say Marvel? I meant DC.
Yeah, DC. This is a DC. If you are into absurdist comedy, the Barbie trailer dropped. I paid zero. I haven't seen it. I paid zero attention, but I did see someone on Twitter was like, oh, this was a horrible day, like all these bad things, and they like made a list, and then someone underneath was like, and the Barbie trailer dropped. It was like, oh, to make it the worst day ever.
Is it supposed to be in like?
I think it is supposed to be absurdist
for adults, or is it supposed to be like a kid's?
No, I think it's supposed to be tongue very firmly planted in cheek, and it's supposed to be a little satirical.
Oh, I didn't think it was going to be a serious Barbie movie.
I mean, I figured it would go the way of like live action Scooby-Doo type stuff. That's what I was expecting.
Which didn't really go well either.
Which didn't really go that well. No, it didn't.
Anytime I think a lot of times when they take a cartoon that was popular as a cartoon and try to turn it into live action, I can't think of one that really worked.
Neither can I. I'd have to kind of Google it and look it up a little bit.
Movie that was live action, that the original content was animated.
Yeah.
Let it know. So, hey, I want to just say hi to everybody out there. I see a lot of guys, Bill and Dennis and Martin and Dr. Alexander and Dave.
Hey guys.
And nowhere else. If I missed you, sorry. But thanks for joining us. Anyway, any more? I'm sorry.
We're halfway through the news. In other news, the Renfield trailer dropped. That looks fun. That's Nick Cage as a vampire. It looks funny. It reminds me of something along the lines of What We Do in Shadows or Cirque du Freak or something like that. It looks really cute. Harry Potter has announced a reboot at HBO. This announcement's getting mixed reactions given J.K. Rowling's recent controversial stance on things. They want to make each book a season, which is probably smart because I think they're guaranteeing themselves 7 seasons, 8 seasons. So, and it'll unpack some, fans are great, but a lot of fans are like, no, we hate J.K. Rowling's now. All right, April Fools, guys. We just had April Fools this last weekend, and a couple April Fools jokes did not fly quite as well as they were intended. Paramount had announced Star Trek Starfleet Academy a couple days back, and the fans went wild. Everyone's super excited about that.
I was hoping that was April Fools.
We were all, yeah. I think it's real.
No, I think it's real. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure it's going to be real.
I think it's real. Rizzo and I are working on the theory. We believe it's going to be set in like disco era. We don't know this.
That's just not our. I've seen that elsewhere.
I've seen it elsewhere
They
too.
kind of implied it, I think, in the announcement. Is it something about not
Because it said something like, yeah, after being closed for a century, the
centuries?
academy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it implies that that's which. So brace yourselves, folks. It's gonna be more disco type TV,
It might
and
be
because we don't see Metallic's Terry, I
Terry
can't say.
Metalis' name.
Thank
Yeah.
you. His name attached to it. It's all Kurtzman again. So
Yeah.
strap in, folks,
We'll see. We'll see what it is.
and bring your
And then,
tissues. I
and yeah,
guarantee you, there's going to be crying.
maybe not. If it's all teenagers, maybe. Then for an April Fool's joke, Strange New Pod tweeted, "Hey, there's gonna be a new Star Trek show. It's called Star Trek Romulus." And half the fans got it was April Fool's, and the other half went wild and actually thought it was a show. And when they found out it was April Fool's joke, they were like,
You see, now that's something I think, though, it's true, though. This is something I've always said with Star Trek is I think they can do stories that are outside of Starfleet orientated. So
yes.
I think something that might take place on Romulus or something with just Romulans or something with their own, not related to Starfleet or I think could work.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
it could too.
I think it could work.
Even Klingon.
You know, or even, or you know, I mean, I'm just saying, just another story.
There's other planets in the Federation, people.
Right, or even just another ship that's not related to.
And there are other ships.
Like, you know, we got like a Harry. I think a Harry Mudd series would have been brilliant.
Yeah,
you know, all of Harry Mudd's.
If it was Rainn Wilson, I would have
Rainn, and yeah, I think you could have. I think that would have been a great show.
Yeah.
But when we see our normal characters like Picard and, you know, from TNG and all those things, we kind of want to see what they've always done, not new stuff.
Yes.
So at least that's my personal opinion.
Everyone out there, if you were going to create your own show, what would it be? Start typing. And then finally, in my last piece of news tonight, Rizzo, I want to lay out what I think is a strategy that is happening right now. And I want to know what you think about this. Over on the Star Wars side of the Twitter, came the April Fool's tweets that The Mandalorian had been canceled. The problem with
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, they were out there. The problem with this is that The Mandalorian has been rumored to be canceled. It said right from the get-go, there's been a rumor that it would be 3 seasons and done, right from the start, which might be a deliberate part of a strategy by Disney that I'm going to call, I don't know what it's called. I'm going to call it cross-watching. And here's the thing. Recently, Michael Kuda reminded us by tweeting, people were asking and clamoring for new Star Trek content. And he said, new content is dependent on viewership, not just of the new shows, but of the old shows as well. The streaming services keep track of how much a show is rewatched. So I think Disney, or not Disney, I think the powers that be at Star Wars deliberately baked in rewatching by making, like, you know how like in Book of Boba Fett, all of a sudden in the middle, like 3 episodes were actually the Mandalorian show? I think they're forcing us to cross-watch. And recently the people have been complaining, the Mandalorian, and this is a minor spoiler, guys, so maybe cover your ears, that the Mandalorian is no longer the Grogu show, it's now the Bo-Katan show. And people are like, we don't know who Bo-Katan is. And now they have to cross-watch. They have to go watch Clone Wars to get caught up. And I think it's on purpose. Is this a smart business?
I don't
or will it backfire?
Well, I personally don't think that the Bo-Katan storyline is intended to try to force people to go watch Clone Wars. I think that is
you gotta watch Clone Wars to know anything.
I think that's Favreau and Fellini bringing in characters from there because they know the fans know those characters, the hardcore fans. And again, I think that's why they're bringing in. I don't think that Disney said, oh, you know what, putting this stuff so they have to go watch this other stuff. I don't really think that, you know, because you could sit there and you could cherry pick it, or you go online and think, who the hell's Bo-Katan? Do we really need to know so much of her backstory to enjoy what's happening? Maybe it would certainly helps. But I don't know. I don't know if it's done that intentional. Maybe there's some of that thought going on. But you know, I do know that I don't think originally when he was, I think the original story was supposed to be, this is the rumors anyway, when Mandalorian gave you know, or presented, or whatever you want to call it, Grogu to Luke Skywalker. That was the end of the Grogu, supposed to be the end of the Grogu story, at least as far as the Mandalorian was concerned. He was supposed to go on, but because of the popularity of Grogu, I think what's her name, the one that runs
Kathleen Kennedy.
Kathleen Kennedy said, no, this is a cash cow. You got to keep sticking Grogu in there so he goes back to them. And I think that I know. Well, there's a lot of rumors that Favreau is not happy.
Yes, and then those.
She's again pulling the strings, which is what network or pro,
yes,
what they do, and they muck with it. So I don't know. I could be wrong, but there's a lot of rumors going on that Favreau's not happy.
There are a lot of rumors going around. And if this was meant to be 3 and done, they should have been wrapping it up, and then they were going to launch the Ahsoka show. I don't know.
It's still on track.
That is still on track. I don't know, guys out there. Let me know. Do you rewatch and cross-watch? Do you turn the TV on and just let stuff play all day just so you can get numbers up, so you can get that new content you want, or do you I don't rewatch stuff. Like if there's a detail from the Clone Wars that I need to know or remember, I Google it. I don't dig through, 7 episodes of Clone Wars to find out that one detail about Rex or some crap. You know what I mean? So
and a lot of times I don't even worry. I'm just like, okay, it's
if I don't remember exactly,
I don't remember every detail of those shows. And again, those shows, a lot of people our age didn't watch those shows because those were geared for kids. Yeah. They were kids for. Now, I will say that once you kind of start watching them, season after season it gets better and better and better, and it is good. It's good
I thought. Yes.
And really, when I came down to it, watching them as an adult, I'm like, these are pretty violent.
Yeah. There's a lot of death. Yeah, there's a lot of killing going on. Yeah, and I've appreciated having watched the Clone Wars now, because now I'm enjoying the Bad Batch so much more.
Yeah, Bad Batch is good. I'm not real thrilled about the little girl in there, but they have to throw that in there because for the kids.
There's another one. Yeah. We need to do.
Yeah, there's another one there. Yeah. So but Bad Batch overall is pretty good. Again, I think it's good Star Wars storytelling.
Yeah,
and I think it's fleshing out a little bit more of what was happening between, the end of the third movie.
Yeah, by the end of the movie,
between like there in Rogue One.
But that storytelling was just so much better than the next 3 movies.
Oh, we don't talk about
it was just so much better. I see Dave Lafredo's watching on YouTube. Hi, Dave. How you doing? Yes, are you ready to? He's like, you didn't get my sex Borg. Like Alison Philly's like, you didn't get my sex Borg bomb or whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're a sex Borg bomb. Okay, yes.
I don't know. Never mind. She hasn't even drank anything yet tonight.
No. All right. Do we have a drink?
Well, is that the end of the news?
That's I wanted to talk about. I wanted to see if you thought they were forcing us to cross watch it.
I don't know if it's. I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past them. This is my final word on it. I wouldn't put anything past them, but I don't think it was that intentional.
Those couple of episodes in Book of Boba Fett were Mandalorian episodes. They were not.
Well, yeah, and even in them. There was a lot of controversy over Book of Boba Fett.
There was a lot of controversy.
I think it could have been better than it was. It wasn't bad, but it was the problem. My biggest problem with Book of Boba, we can do that. I don't.
One season's done. I don't know if it's getting another season.
I think my biggest issue with it was there was just way too much backstory going on about from the time he got out of the Sarlacc pit.
And people didn't like the way he was characterized because they already had a mindset of who he was.
Well, he was, yeah.
And then suddenly they're looking at this guy and they're like, "That's not Boba."
Well, they're trying to show you why he changed.
No, that's true. That's true.
So I think, and again, I really liked the Obi-Wan series, Kenobi.
I liked Kenobi.
Kenobi was good, and then a lot of people, there's a lot of controversy over that. So
yes, there was a lot of controversy over that. Dave says not so much cross-watching as cross-promotion. Yeah, there's always
perhaps, but I mean, Clone Wars is not. That's a pretty old show, relatively speaking. You know what I'm saying? That ended a while ago, right? I mean, when was the last season of Clone Wars? So.
Oh yeah, a while back.
And then they added that one last short season to kind of really bring you to
kind of wrap it up, and then Rebels did a few things. There was a character. This is a spoiler. Cover your ears. There was a character from. Oh, this is another thing I want to talk. I would love to do a show on this or talk about it. There's a character from Rebels on Mandalorian, and people were like, "Oh my god, that CGI was fabulous. Why is it so good?" And then She-Hulk was so bad. And I've been some people online have ideas as to why the Star Wars CGI is so good and the Marvel CGI is so bad. And I would love to talk about that.
What character were we referring to?
Can I say it's a spoiler?
You can say it to me. I don't care.
No, we have an entire audience watching right
close
now.
your ears. No. All right.
Close your ears. The character Zeb from Rebels was on Mandalorian.
The big
thing. Yeah.
The big dude. Okay.
And he looked
I
good.
didn't get that. Where was he in Mandalorian?
He was in the bar talking to.
Oh, see, wasn't paying attention. Need to go rewatch it.
See, you gotta rewatch. Get those numbers up.
I used to actually the first 2 seasons of Mando. I did rewatch every episode.
Oh, did you
watch it and then I go back and watch it again?
But now this season looks and feels different, doesn't it? It feels different.
It does, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I think their common theme now is every season they fight some giant creature.
Mandalore, wherever they settled, is loaded.
Wherever they go, there's a big
there's something
giant
in the water getting, and there's this giant bird
getting. I was like, they're not. I said they're going to get crap for doing this again. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe that's just their shtick.
Maybe that's their thing. Maybe they just fight big creatures.
So, anyway, we are like way off.
Well, anyway, yeah. Let's get back to our drink, which is
so
fun.
We do have a drink. It's called the Ramona Flowers, and who is of course one of the main characters. So it's pretty. 2 ounces. Of vodka, blue curacao, cranberry juice, lime juice. Pretty fruity. Should be good.
Curacao and everything.
You really can't go wrong with that combination. You know, it's
blue curacao tastes like blue.
Blue curacao is a citrus flavor.
My blue curacao, maybe my.
It's not naturally blue.
My blue curacao tastes like NyQuil.
Well, it's curacao itself is a fruit, and I believe, and it is citrus or in orientation or whatever. It is a tropical fruit, but you will get it in any color. I think the actual liquor is just clear.
Oh.
So you can actually get orange curacao, blue curacao. If you go to a liquor store,
did not know that. I just thought it came in blue.
Yes, it's not naturally blue. Blue is just the food coloring. Most people know it as blue curacao, but you can get other colors of it. So it's just it's just like a fruity.
Maybe I need to get a new bottle. Mine is quite old, but it tastes like NyQuil.
Liquor doesn't go bad unless it gets contaminated somehow. But
it's like NyQuil.
Well, maybe you got the cheap crap. Don't buy cheap liquor. Nobody. There's no time in anybody's life.
Maybe I got the cheap crap.
Don't get that bottom shelf crap.
I don't have the kick-ass bar like you do.
Well, it took. I didn't stock that overnight either.
Takes years and years to build up a bar like Rizzo.
It does take a long
maybe
time.
Maybe someday, guys, you all get to see the tiki bar. It's pretty cool.
Someday, maybe we'll do a show. It's hard to see to show it from.
Yeah, you had to do it from there once for some.
My computer was
all we could see was like part.
Yeah, I need to put a camera facing the bar.
Yeah,
one day. Anyway, all right. So Scott Pilgrim. So this was a make me watch.
Yes, I made you watch.
I had never seen it. I know you've been asking for quite a long time.
I enjoy this movie.
So, and the only reason I hesitated was because I'd never seen it, and of course, it's kind of, believe it or not, I actually want to see what I'm talking about.
Before you're talking about
it. I sat down and watched it the other night, Saturday night. I had the TV to myself, so to speak, and my initial thought was, what the hell am I watching? Because I had no preconception of what it was about.
But did you
I had no idea what the movie was about when I first started watching it. Like, I didn't watch a trailer. I had no idea.
Yeah. I mean, there was nothing.
So,
there's no info.
So there's a lot of like 90s, 80s video game reference in it.
A lot of video games.
A lot of video games, particularly the fighting games, obviously.
Yeah. Yes.
Mortal Kombat.
A lot of Zelda, that kind of thing.
There was some Zelda stuff in there. So, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a fun movie. You just obviously doesn't take itself too seriously. There was a little weirdness I had told you about him dating a 17-year-old.
Very weird. And people just gloss right over. There's a lot.
They kind of gloss right over that. They were very careful. Did you notice to say, we haven't done anything. We haven't even kissed. Like all we've done is hold hands.
They glossed right over that, and it just he was a man child, still no excuse. They didn't do anything, still no excuse.
Yeah, it was just like maybe because I have a daughter.
She was mature for her age, still no excuse. Although she really wasn't. I
mean, I know that happens. I know there were kids like in my daughter's high school that were dating
17, 25 years. That's okay when you're 32 and 37.
Right. So as soon as
That's
you're both
fine.
above the age of consent.
If you're 57 and 62,
Well, it depends what state.
yourselves
Well,
out.
this is what Toronto. So I don't know what Canadians. What's the age of consent in
It's the
Canada?
same. It's the same.
It's not. You know, in New Hampshire, you can marry your kid off at 14.
Oh God, New Hampshire,
Yeah.
what is wrong with you?
Oh, law. You can do that. So even though they tried to change it, and guess what? Some people of certain parties were against it. Why? I
Of course
can't.
they were, because hey.
Yes, a little weird. I'm not proud of that, but at least But yeah, there's certain states. Yeah, it's different. So I was just curious. Maybe the age of consent is lower in Canada. Don't know. I would think not. They tend to. So, but anyway, that was the only niggle I had with it, and it's mine.
Did you get the hang of its quirky humor eventually?
Oh yes, there was a lot of quirky humorness to it. Absolutely.
Okay.
So, I mean, I kept going. Why is anybody interested in this guy?
Yeah, you know what?
Because he's not attractive.
He's horrible.
Dork. He has no skills other than he can play bass.
He's mooching off of Wallace.
He's mooching. He lives in this one
bedroom and it's Wallace's.
Which that was really strange too. Here's the thing: guys generally will not share a bed.
He's like, "Do you see another bed here?"
Maybe the younger generation's okay with guys don't share.
The young hipsters, they don't care. They'll sleep anywhere.
Not unless they're together. Yeah, I guess.
But like the thing about Wallace's apartment is like they went around the apartment, they put the little labels. They're like, this is Wallace's, this is Wallace's, this is Wallace's, that's Wallace's. And it was like, Scott's coat, Wallace's coat, and then beneath it says better because it was a better coat.
His house was right across the street.
Yeah, his house was
He says, "You want to see the house I grew up in?" He goes, "There it is." Well, clearly he didn't move very far.
No, his friend was across the street, so he's like gonna go mooch over there.
Yeah, the only thing I could have seen him driving like a gremlin or something. That would be I don't know why. Like if I saw him get into a gremlin, I would like, oh yeah, that car fits. It's probably the thing know what a gremlin is at that age.
What was that little red car that used to get out and wind it up to drive? Anyway,
wind it up.
This thing is not. I don't know why I enjoy this movie so much. I really don't. I love this movie. I like its quirky humor. I am not its target demographic. I am not.
Yeah, I think it was geared at a younger generation than
it's
us.
definitely for a younger generation. And so I would have been like in my late 30s. Like I would have been in my late 30s when this came out. And so if I had still been kind of in that hipster scene, it would have been sad. Like it would have been, oh, she's getting too old for this. It's just
right.
Sad. But I'm not a hipster or like a big into grunge or indie band or garage band. And I'm not super, is it on par? That's a great question, Martin. I'm not super into.
I would say kind of yes.
I think it's quirkier. Napoleon
and I was really dry. Kind of like, I don't know how to. It is that same quirkiness to it.
It's that same quirky slice of life. You're like, and it's very, very Canadian. It takes place in Toronto, and they reference a lot of Canadian stuff. And the music, like the Brie Larson, that was Metric who did that song, and Brie sang it. And Metric is a Canadian indie band. There's like a ton of Canadian everything in this. Pizza, all that. But yeah, I don't know what it is. It just kind of grabs you with its weird, funny little.
And like once you kind of get, you're like the first, like I said, if you don't know what's coming, all of a sudden there's this fight, and it's like this weird.
Well, it's a video game, right?
It's a weird video game vibe to it, and you're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. So
is it sci-fi? Would you consider this movie sci-fi because of the video game? And I don't mean true sci-fi like Kubrick. 2001 sci-fi.
But it's a fantasy. I mean, this kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's got that video game base to it.
The whole idea that these 7 X's would form a league, the League of the 7 Deadly X's, to like fight him. And here's the thing: he's treating her like just a trophy, a prize to be won, to fight for.
Well, he doesn't want to though. This is being forced on him. He's not seeking these people out to win her. They're coming to him. He just wants to date her, and he's like, well, if this is what I have to do. So I don't necessarily think that he's trying to win her, but he's being forced to fight. He's not seeking these people out. Okay, I have to fight you next. You know what I'm saying? They're all showing up,
True. They're
ambushing
That's
him.
true. That's true.
So
But
I don't
nevertheless,
think,
from a writing point of view, I think just taking a girl and making her a prize is maybe. So the movie has issues that way. Like that's things that like only adults notice. The kids are too busy just rocking out.
yeah,
and
I wouldn't really look into it that like deeply, just like the whole dating out of your age range thing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
just it's not. I don't think there's a deep message in here. It really isn't one that they're trying to say this is our message. It's just we made this quirky movie and with this dorky kid as the lead, and I mean he fits the part perfectly for what I think they were looking for. It seems like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Michael Cera is perfect for this. Michael Cera was who they wanted right from the get go. So this was originally a manga, a comic book, and it is also a video game for real. But yeah, it actually is still out there. It's still being written. And in fact, if you give me a moment, I'm going to put the website where you guys can find the entire Scott Pilgrim collection. It's Omnipress, and I will put that in the chat right now. But yes, this was a game. This was a comic book, and it was still being written when Edgar Wright kind of stumbled across it and said, "Oh my God, I need to make a movie out of this." And he's the guy who did the Cornetto trio. So he did Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and We're at the World's End, or
World's End,
whatever exactly the name of that is. With Simon. Yeah, thank you. Simon Pegg. And that stuff's, I love that stuff. It's very funny. It's very British. Edgar Wright is British. So they hauled him over to Canada and he started developing this. Let me go ahead and put that link in the chat so you guys can, go find it. Talk amongst yourselves while I fail copy and paste because I'm an idiot.
So anyway, yeah. So the basic of those of you who have not seen the film, the basic idea is that the main character is Scott Pilgrim. Obviously, he's 22 years old. He really does he have a job?
Not that I've seen.
No, he does not have a job. He's in this band, and he has a girlfriend who's a high school kid who.
He is for some reason dating a high schooler.
For some reason, they don't really go into the details.
He's ostensibly getting over a bad.
Yeah, he's getting over. He was dating Brie Larson. She dumped him. She became famous as a lead singer of this other band, and so she left him, dumped him. Took him forever to get over. Anyway, and then he all of a sudden runs into Ramona Flowers, and he's smitten. There is a good word. And he's able to date her. I don't know why she even remotely, because basically he what is it? Oh, he found out she works for Amazon. I assume and just assumed that she would be the person delivering his package. So he purposely orders something from Amazon so that she shows up at his house. And then he wouldn't sign for it, which is kind of funny too. I don't know. Back in 2010, I don't think anybody signed for an Amazon package, but and he wouldn't sign it until she dated him. Basically, that's how.
And it kind of kicks off from there. And from there he finds out.
And then all of a sudden, this guy attacks him out of the blue, and she's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you have to fight my 7 deadly exes."
7 deadly exes.
And she always says exes. He doesn't say ex-boyfriends or ex.
There's a reason, whatever. Right?
So it's exes. She even put on the phone number 7 exes.
Yeah, 7. What did you think that was? 7 little kisses? No, 7 deadly exes. So let's talk about this cast. Or do you want to finish the plot, or do you want to talk about this?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the plot is basically the plot. So he as the movie progresses, he fights each one as they show up. They always ambush.
And then he fights Lucas Lee.
Right.
And then he fights. I should know.
The girl.
No, she's like 5, and then the twins, and then Gideon. I'm missing a couple in there.
Well, no, you had Patel,
Lucas Lee.
Then you had Chris Evans was the second one.
That's Lucas Lee, yep.
And then I think the girl was the next one.
And then Todd Ingram, Brandon Routh, the vegan police guy.
Oh, right. I
He's
forgot.
in there.
That was a funny scene.
That was a really
That was
funny.
really funny. So
You've had gelato.
yeah.
Gelato is
So
not
so apparently being vegan, he
You
gets some
had chicken
superpowers.
parmesan. Chicken's
Yeah,
not vegan.
yeah. Chicken's not vegan.
And the two vegan cops are none other than Thomas Jane, who we adored in The Expanse, and
Right.
others. And Clifton Collin, who's around. He does stuff, and he is a Star Trek. He is one of our roads to Star Trek. I may still be missing a Deadly X, but then the girl, and then the twins, and then Gideon.
And then Gideon, who's the mastermind behind the League of Seven X's.
The mastermind behind the League.
Yeah,
and he fights each one and wins. And then and the extra little double layered twist is two double layer twists. One is that Brie Larson is dating Todd, the vegan. So that's kind of there. And then the last one, Gideon was gonna offer his band a contract, but then when he kicked his ass, then I guess that fell through. Allison Pill's character sitting there like, there goes our contract.
Yep.
It just was so good. But like the effects when he kills someone, when he like defeats someone, they burst into coins. Like
like a video game.
Go up at the end of Mortal Kombat.
Right, and it was key because at one point he gets an extra life, which of course at the end of the film he needs. And
then he earned the power of love, pulls the love sword out, and then he earns the power of self-respect. He pulls that sword out.
So it's kind of cute. And
Pacific Rim. Dave, are you saying Clifton Collins was in Pacific Rim? What was he in? He might have been.
I don't know why are you saying Pacific Rim? He's a
why are you saying Pacific Rim out of nowhere?
A lot of exclamation points. We don't know. Anyway,
this cast.
So the cast, So we talked about Michael Cera a bit. He was in.
He's around. He did Arrested Development.
Arrested Development, I believe.
He was so funny and super bad.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, he fits the part perfectly when you look at the character. I mean, he's just kind of that dorky. I still don't know why Brie Larson or Ramona Flowers' character.
I don't know why.
Why
he implied he had dated Kim at some point too.
He dated. Right, he dated Allison Pill's character.
Yeah. I don't know why any of these girls.
Knives Chow, who who's the 17-year-old, she's attractive.
Yeah.
So I don't know what That's always cracked me up on these shows. I always saw shenanigans, like even on Seinfeld, where George Costanza would always get these good-looking women. I'm like, no. No.
They say
I'm a fat, stocky, bald man with no job, and I live with my parents. Exactly. Why would anybody date that?
Well, that one he had, the one that died by licking the stamps.
Yeah, Susan.
She was about his speed.
She was more attractive than he was, though.
Was she?
And she was successful until she met him.
And then things went
NBC exec. Her life went surely downhill after meeting him. Anyway, okay, so Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who really hasn't done. I mean, she's done a lot of stuff, but not.
She was in just came out. It's her. I want to say Hercules. It's not Hercules. Female, blue, red, guys. Come on. What's her name?
She's in Love, Death, and Robots.
Yes, she was in Love, Death, and Robots. She was in the skit where there was something growing in the freezer. The entire
Birds of Prey. You thinking of? No. Huh? I don't know what you're thinking of. Brain Dead.
Oh, I can see her. Harlequin. She was in Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey. That's what I said.
My brain kept saying Hercules, and I'm like, no, it starts with an H. It's a female. I could see her face. I knew it was an H word. Oh, I hate that.
Okay. Anyway,
yeah, Mary Elizabeth, she embodied Ramona quite nicely. She's particularly the Edgar Wright, the director, had asked the cast not to blink, so they would look more like the anime, like they would look more like the manga. And she did it really, really well. She had this way of like doing her eyes. She has like really big eyes, so she would look like the actual frame. Like she would look like the comic book. They did a really good job with her, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, she had kind of a comic book, very manga sort of anime look to her with the colored hair. Her hair would change; it would go from purple to blue to green,
pink and green,
whatever, pink, whatever the heck she would have very bright colored hair. So that was that's very Japanese anime, and of course they always drew Western people with very round eyes.
Yeah.
So that kind of fits that whole thing.
Oh yeah, Dave's saying Netflix just announced a Thing remake that she is in, or she was in. She was in Thing 2011, I believe.
Like I said, she's been in stuff. It's just not like anything you say. Oh yeah, she was a star of this or that. She's just one of those
Yeah,
been
yeah.
around
She
long
does.
time.
This is her most striking role, I think, because it's visually
Probably the
striking,
one. Yeah,
and yeah.
she's
But anyway,
very attractive, no question about it.
oh, she's cool.
So we also have Kieran Culkin, which is
Kieran Culkin,
Macaulay's brother.
I
He's
love his
also
character.
really, I think he's currently in Succession on HBO.
Oh yes, he is in Succession.
So he really does look a lot like his brother. I see a lot of Macaulay right there. So clearly they definitely share some genes. I don't know what else he's done other than Succession.
Yeah, I can pull him up really quick. Sorry, we're not supposed to be doing this live.
Fargo. A lot of them seem to have done Fargo. At least have stuff in the TV show Fargo, which is actually pretty good if you don't. If you're looking.
He was my favorite character. He was kind of the one of all of these kids, the one who was the most likely to sort of slap some sense into Scott. Like he was the one who was like, look, him and the sister. I think I would love a show. I would take a spin-off with the Wallace, this is Kieran, the Wallace character and the Allison Pine character, and maybe Julie, the Aubrey Plaza character. The three of them just sitting there and being snarky and sort of, judging everyone and commenting on everyone. That would be brilliant because they were like the three voices of reason in the movie.
Right. Which so Stacy's his sister, which is played by Anna Kendrick.
Stacy's the sister,
played her in tons of stuff.
And she and Wallace were like, and so like the joke of the scenes were like, the Michael Cera character would tell Wallace something, and immediately his phone ring is his sister like, "What? You said what?" And he's like, "How did you know that?" And she'd be like, "Wallace," and he'd be like, I literally just told Wallace that because they had this like connection.
Well, the one time when they're like, because they share the bed, he told him and he's just sleeping.
He's just like,
then you see him. Then they kind of pan over, and the phone's open in his hand, but he's asleep.
He's like texting.
Somehow texted her.
Because you got to tell the sister everything he does. You got to tell the sister.
Yeah. That's a great friend, by the way, that just rats you out.
That rats you out every other minute, yeah.
So, of course, she's been in tons of stuff from, pick a movie. God, she's in everything, it seems like.
Oh, Anna Kendrick, Up in the Air. She was in the Twilight, one of the Twilights.
The one with the singing one.
Oh, yeah, Pitch Perfect. Everything. She's been in everything. Yeah.
So.
Moving on.
And then, of course, Allison Pill, who we know from Star Trek Picard and Snowpiercer.
Yep.
And that's the only two things I know her from.
Yeah. She's around. She's done a bunch of stuff. She is our one road. Her and Clifton Collins are our roads tonight. And this is how I knew Allison Pill, and I just love when she just like that. To me, that is quintessential Allison Pill, like the very, very dry delivery, like, you idiot. Just sitting there going, you idiot. Her and Wallace would be genius together.
Yeah. No, Dr. Alexander, I did not say comic books. I said from an animated show that they transfer. We're talking. Remember, way back in the beginning of the show, I said,
an
animated show?
Shows that made it.
Those were all comic books that became. They made animated shows of, and then they made films. I don't really count that superhero ones because those started out as comic books, and we've had plenty of good movies from comic books. Just not something like when you do a live action Flintstones or live action.
The one specifically that we were complaining about.
Casper was not good, Bill.
The one I had mentioned was Scooby Doo. Like someone had asked.
Yeah, Scooby Doo, or
it's about on Scooby Doo level.
Like even when they did Thunderbirds didn't work. And Thunderbirds really wasn't animated; it was puppets, but
it was still. I wonder if that technically still counts as live action if it's a puppet because it's live.
Yeah. They had real hands whenever they needed to do something.
Yeah, there'd be
always a person. Which that I did want in that movie, and I know we're way off topic, but in the movie, whenever they reversed that, so whenever they did a close up of a hand, it was the puppet hand.
Oh, really?
So they reversed.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway,
That's awesome.
moving on with Alice and Aubrey Plaza. You guys, if
Aubrey
anybody had
Plaza,
watched
yeah.
Parks and
Dave
Rec, you know who
Lafredo just
Aubrey
said
is.
my favorite is blanking Julie
Yeah.
because she's my favorite. Because every time she cursed, you would see this. She'd be like, "Scott, I blanking forbid you to date her."
Yeah,
It's called a blinking job, Scott.
Like I said, I think she's best known for Park and Rec.
How do you do that with your mouth? Never blinking mine how I do that with my mouth.
She always, like I said earlier before we got on, she always kind of plays the same character. It's always that kind of that.
She
always
should
pissed
just have
off.
this like
Just annoyed
all
at the
time.
world. She's just annoyed at the world.
Yeah, she's just annoyed.
Oh.
She has permanent resting RBF.
Yep.
She has permanent resting blank face. And yeah.
So, and then just Jason Schwartz is Gideon. He kind of ends up being the mastermind.
He ends up being the mastermind. He's our our ultimate baddie. He's the final baddie, final bad guy.
The final baddie, but he's also the mastermind behind the whole thing. And he kind of, which is
2
interesting
hours.
because remember earlier when he first sees Ramona, when Scott, he asks about, or we're not for first season, but he asks, is she here? Or something. He says, remember, he's the one that kind of sets her on. He sets him on the path to go after her. Like, she was invited. I don't know if she's here. And that's when Scott starts looking around at the party.
Yeah, that's true.
So he sets her. He sets on the path. So he kind of set him up.
Oh no, that was Como.
That was Como. I thought that was Gideon.
No, you mean the guy with at the party? Yeah, that was Como.
Gideon did set him up somehow because he referenced it. Maybe I'm getting mixed up. But
no,
anyway.
maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I'm missing a detail here. But I thought the one that he goes to, hey, Como, you know everybody, right? Yeah, I know everybody.
Yeah, there was that scene too, but I think there was something else. I don't know.
Yeah, anyway.
I digress. We moving on. So yeah, he's been in tons of stuff over the years. Gosh, he's got
Jason Schwartz. Yeah, he's been all over the place. I like him.
Yeah, he usually kind of also plays sort of the same character a lot.
Yeah, kind of nerdy, kind of doofy.
Yeah.
He's like him and Owen Wilson for a hot minute there. We're sort of.
Yep. Johnny Simmons is
not as well known.
Not as well known. Mark Webber, Ellen Wong. I don't know.
Ellen Wong. Time out. She I think was the breakout star of this movie. She was this absolutely adorable little bundle of naivete that you just wanted to like put your arm around and go, oh, sweetie. Sweetie, let me get you away from this guy. She was so cute. They hired her because she already knew martial arts. And interestingly enough, she is 3 years older than Michael Cera.
Isn't that funny?
But she was just so cute, and her delivery and her lines and everything. I think she is the breakout star, and I can't believe we haven't seen more of her since. Anyway,
yeah, it's kind of interesting because she was really good in the role. Although you're kind of funny, like, why are you so enamored with this guy?
Yeah, but if she's 17 and that's your first boyfriend, and he's an older guy, like and maybe it's a girl thing, but you're just like.
I guess. Yeah.
And he's in a band. Anyway, keep going.
Anyway.
He's in a
the rest of the, let's see. We of course Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. We looked this up right before the show started. The year before he did his first Captain America.
Right. And he had already done Johnny Storm.
And he had already done Johnny Storm, Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four film.
3 movies.
There were 2, I think, with him, and then the third one was another remake that was horribly.
I don't remember.
It was just bad.
Yeah, the heart ones with the heart ones. Yeah, it was bad. We don't mention the Fantastic Four, and that was our friend Doug Jones from Disco as the Silver Surfer too. Yeah, this was like right before his breakout, and this is like, oh god, it's such perfect casting. Like this was genius casting, and they didn't know he was gonna go on to do this, and he did you notice that when he comes out of the trailer and the fanfare?
What year did he do Snowpiercer? Because that was another one that he did that was really weird.
Oh yeah. And then he went on to do like Glass Onion and not Glass Onion. I'm sorry, Knives Out.
Yeah, that was much later though. Knives Out.
Yeah, that was tons later. Yeah. But yeah, he did 1 million episodes of Captain America.
It's funny. I'm looking at where the heck is he on the darn?
He's like way down the bottom. It's like, why is he down the bottom?
I don't even see him down there. All cast. You got to go to all casting crew. Like he's not even in.
Yeah, he's not even in the pictured stuff, which blows my mind.
Which it's not like he has that small a part.
No. He's
So
just recognizable to us now. I think at that time he had only done, like I said, Fantastic Four and whatever else.
I'm trying to see what year he did in Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer was 2013, so he already done Captain America.
Yeah, he'd already done Captain America when he did Snowpiercer, and then he did like a little bit in Free Guy and all that.
Right. Well, I mean, once he was Captain America, it was pretty much,
Yeah.
I like him. No, I like stuff he's in. He's from Boston, so that's always, he's a local boy.
He's not. I know what town he's from. Give me a second, and I will remember.
Well, he's from that area.
Yeah, he's from the area. Yeah, he's from Massachusetts. Anyway, moving on with our cast here.
Who else we got?
Marco Rashad. Satya Baba played Matthew Patel. We don't know him that well on this side of the pond. He is British, and he has done a bunch over there. It's kind of funny because the director was like, I really don't want any Brits. This is Canada, so I really don't want any Brits in this. And he did such a good American accent that he kind of like tricked them.
I've always said that the Brits do better American accents than Americans do British.
Yeah. Our twins, our real twins, they did not speak a lot of English, so that must have been a very interesting scene to film. We don't care about other Scott. Como was Nelson Franklin. He's around. You see him. Chris Evans, we got. Where is Todd and Roxy? Okay, so Roxy Richter, which is the one girlfriend, that's Mae Whitman. The only other thing I had seen when I saw Mae in this movie, the only other thing I had seen her in, Independence Day. She plays the president's daughter, like little tiny girl in Independence Day. And then all of a sudden you see her in this screaming, I'm not bi-curious, I'm bi-furious. And you're like, oh my God, she grew up.
They do that.
Oh, don't do
the
that.
one we didn't talk about was Brie Larson, of course.
Yeah, I'm trying to find Brie. Brie plays Envy. Yeah, so
she's another one that's way down the list.
Yeah. Oh, did you? And she's way down the list. And then Brandon Routh plays Todd Ingram, and he's way down the list. Did you notice how much there's a band called Crash and the Boys? And the kid that plays Crash, his name is Eric Knudsen. He's a Canadian actor. He's done a bunch of stuff up in Canada. He looks exactly like Frankie Muniz. Did you notice that, or do you know who that is?
I'm not sure if I'm placing. I recognize the name. I'm not placing a face with it though.
Frankie was in Malcolm in the Middle.
Right.
Yes. So and here comes this kid. And he's got blue eyes, and he's just got that face, and you're like, oh my God, it's Frankie Muniz. What's it? And then you're like, oh wait, that's not Frankie Muniz.
So yeah. So Brie was, of course, we know is Captain Marvel. She's done stuff on and off.
Brie won.
Most notably, I've seen her is on Nissan commercials.
Yeah, she's doing that.
I always wonder, did they pay her a lot of money to do that, or were we just getting like not a lot of work?
Oh no, you know what? She's in Brie and Ham. She's with John Hamm doing the They're both it's something like Pepto-Bismol or something weird. Hang on, what you guys? You remember what Brie Larson and John Hamm are both doing the ad for together? Something, is it a stove? Is it a fridge? Is it something? What is it? Because they're in a fridge. They're talking about that. Moving on. We got Brandon Routh, who plays Superman, who goes on to play Superman as Todd Ingram. And our two vegan police are, as I already mentioned earlier in the episode, I said it's Thomas Jane and Clifton Collins. And I'm just trying to see if there's any other standouts in... Any other standouts in?
I didn't see really anybody else that people. Oh yeah, I know. Really famous. But the casting was really actually pretty good on this.
Casting was fantastic.
It was like everybody seemed to really fit their parts well. So like I said, it's a pretty fun movie. Just don't, if you haven't seen it and you watch it, just yeah, Dave punched the highlights out of her hair. I just saw that comment.
You punched the highlights out of her hair. Knives had dyed her hair to look exactly. Right. She was trying to look like Ramona, so she put the same color blue in her hair. And then Todd, for some reason, and I didn't get like, why does she's just fawning over Envy? Like she just is a fangirl over Envy, and Todd up and punches her. Why? Because he's a jerk.
Because he's a jerk.
He's a
There's
jerk.
a lot of jerks in this movie.
A lot of jerks in this movie. They're all really bad to each other. They're all mean to each other.
Yeah, there's a lot of fighting. But I guess that's the whole point, right?
Even Crash and the boys. Crash is like, I'm dedicating this next one to the guy. He's yelling up there, and it's Wallace, and Wallace is like, oh, I love this one. It's like, sweet, I love this one.
Yeah, yeah. The band was pretty good.
The music was awesome. I thought
the music was pretty good, actually. At least the one that they played.
Most of the songs were by Beck, so that's good music right there. Then that one song by Brie was Metro. And I really, really like Metro. I know a couple of their stuff. The one that I kind of go back to a lot is Help I'm Alive. I don't know if you guys know this one. If you haven't heard it, just look it up. Metric Help I'm Alive. It's a good song. But it's got that indie band sound to it.
One of the other niggles that I thought of is like, I don't know, maybe this is a common thing, but Ramona moved from New York, right? I think she said.
Yeah, Toronto just got
Toronto, and she's just living and working there. I'm like, how does that work?
How does that work?
How do you just immigrate to another country? And I mean, she's working there, so she had a job. I don't know how that works. Yeah. Canadians, how does that work? Does it not work?
It doesn't. You can't just go to Canada and get a job.
You can't just go to Canada and start working, can you?
The things about this movie that make it this is a cult classic, and the things that make it a cult classic, not just the band references, not just the millions of video game references, but just watch the movie and try to appreciate things like its transitions. It has some of the most clever transitions that keep this story moving along that I've ever seen in any movie. And I would agree with everyone who argues that it is the best manga or comic book to screen adaptation. I agree that it is. I think it is so well done.
Having not read the original manga, it's kind of hard. I can't make that distinction.
Having not read the original manga, it is kind of hard.
But again, I haven't read a lot of manga to begin with overall, so I have no frame of reference.
And I know that Brian Lee O'Malley, who wrote it, worked on this film and had a lot of input into how things looked and felt. Some of the stuff they did came right out of the pages and looked like it was lifted right out of the pages. None of the stuff was kind of just sort of true to, they just kept in spirit. Oh, clever. But then there were some things that tanked. Like she mentions a subspace highway that's fleshed out so much more in the comic books, and you don't get that at all in the movie. What was the other thing? There's something else that they just touched on in the movie that was used a lot more in the comic books. But just go back, watch those transitions, watch the clever way they go from scene to scene, or even sometimes just from one character to the other. As they're walking and talking, the background is changing, but you can't tell that the characters are changing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of neat details that they put into the film. I think
it's loaded with details.
Notice. I mean, it really starts. It really hits the ground. One of the things I noted right off the bat was the 8-bit Universal logo.
Yeah, the 8-bit Universal logo. Yeah,
it was just like we all remember from the 90s, even with those, the N64 and those type of video games. That 16-bit. So they did that right from the get-go, kind of so they kind of set the tone right away.
Yes,
that this is clearly going to be, this sort of video game reference.
They brought back the onomatopoeia, like remember in Batman when it said "pow," they brought that back. They're using that. There's so many little asides, like Todd Ingram, the Brendan Routh character, she's like, "You're incorrigible." He's like, "I don't know what that means." And then the words, he really doesn't.
There's even a Spinal Tap reference when the twins turned their thing up to 11.
Yeah, the twins went to 11.
That was definitely a Spinal Tap reference up to 11.
That is awesome. Yeah, so, there was just it's loaded with stuff. It's one of these movies that you can just watch and just be looking around in the background of the scenes and be noticing stuff. It's just loaded. Every scene is loaded.
Doc Alexander is determined to find a good movie that was animated to. So
we did
Battleship Yamato.
We did it with Kit Schmidt back in our first year,
and it was good. I don't know if it was good, probably from the Japanese perspective.
We did it in Japanese. I did it in subtitles.
I watched. I can't do subtitles if it's not available. I mean, because all I end up doing is reading, and I don't watch the movie. But anyway, I'll give you a 50-50 on that one.
He said no matter how hard I try, Brie Larson just not meet expectations. She is controversial. People either love her or hate her.
I think she's a little wooden. frankly, as an actress.
Yeah, she did
I
this.
don't.
She worked in this role.
Yeah, she did, but she didn't have a lot.
But she was supposed to be snarky and kind of like aloof.
Yeah, I mean, but
kinda
her like in Captain Marvel, I just I didn't really care for her in that, and I think it showed kind of in the ratings of that film.
Yeah.
I think she's just a little wooden. She's very attractive.
Yeah.
I just something about her. You're right. There's something about her acting that just it's like almost there, but there's something missing. There's something missing that doesn't make you buy it, and I don't know what it is. And that's to me is what makes a great actor. From an average one is that I remember this is kind of getting off topic, but way, way, way back in the day when we first started seeing I'm drawing a blank now on the guy's
Okay, I gave you my word disease.
God, he's in a million things. Why can't I think from 12 Monkeys?
Oh, Tess Dashwick?
No, not Bruce Willis. There was
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, thank you. I don't know why. It was like most. So Brad Pitt was around. He was a pretty face, and he'd done some movies, but it was 12 Monkeys was what made me say he is a great actor. And it was because when he played the insane version of himself in the insane asylum. And then, of course, we saw him in Fight Club. Which if you've never seen Fight Club, I mean, between him and Ed Norton.
Like in Thelma and Louise, I was okay with him in like Thelma.
No, I'm just saying he's always been a good actor, but I think it was that role, it was what really said to me.
In those roles, he actually acted. Then when you see him in movies like Ocean's 11, where he's just staying there eating,
or it's just him.
That to me is not so much.
I think that's really him.
That's
and
just
I love
him
Ocean's 11,
eating.
the remake of Ocean's 11. Of course, not the Sinatra version, the George Clooney version.
Yeah.
Is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. That's one of those movies that no matter if it's on and it starts at any point, I will watch it.
If we ever break, so every now and again we break from sci-fi. If we ever do again, maybe that's one.
Oceans it was such a. There's so many elements that came together in that film.
Introducing Julia Roberts.
Yeah,
I love them. Like we've never met her before.
Yeah, so it's such a great film. Especially if you're going to Vegas, watch that first. I don't know why. Like if you're gonna go to Vegas, watch.
Yeah, if you're going to Vegas, watch Oceans first. Well, all right.
And then you'll find out all the stuff. In fact, if you really like the movie, watch it with the commentary. Because the commentary is great because there's a lot of stuff in there, like in the scene. Again, we're way off topic, but in the scene where they're planning the heist at Ruben's house, and they're saying, and he's saying on the night of the fight, by law, they have to have so many millions of dollars on hand to cover every chip. That was complete bullshit. They made that up. There is no such law that tells the casinos they have to keep a certain. They said they needed some reason that they had to rob it on that. So, but the commentary is just full of stuff like that they did, but anyway, great movie. But getting back to it, that's to me is like those certain roles that people do that you kind of, to me, is what separates them from somebody who's just kind of going through the motions and somebody who really gets the craft.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway,
right.
it's 8 o'clock already. Enough about movies that we're not talking about.
Yeah, I think we've talked about enough about Scott Pilgrim too. I highly recommend this film. It's a quirky little thing, and it'll kind of maybe remind you of your college days, maybe not. I think we're just outside.
I think my college days were a little.
We are just outside the target demographic for this movie, but I still think there's something you can find to enjoy in it. It's
it's entertaining. Even I don't think you necessarily have to relate to that generation directly to enjoy the film. I think if you're other than I think if you're aware of those, Mortal Kombat type video games, maybe you enjoyed those type of video games. I think that's probably key. I think more than anything else in this thing to get the rest of it is kind of just boy meets girl, boy chases.
If nothing else, just for sheer filmmaking, look at the transitions from scene to scene and appreciate that this cast went through stunt training and did a bunch of their own stunts, and then they went through music training and had to play their own instruments. Appreciate that about it. Coming up, Roy. Right. So Roy on Monday was supposed to do his 3-year anniversary, and I don't know what happened. He has decided to postpone it. It will be tomorrow night. So Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi celebrating his 3rd anniversary tomorrow night. And Phil is also competing for your attention tomorrow night. Phil is going to be talking to Paul Levinson about his radio play, It's Real Life, which is another one of these alternate history stories. It's a story where John Lennon never died and the Beatles never broke up. And then at 4:30, he'll have Michael Schilling. That'll be at 3. And then at 4:30, he'll have Michael Schilling from Shore Leave to talk about this year's Shore Leave. And Rizzo, do we even know what we are doing?
As usual, I don't.
We don't. I like when we're planned out better.
I know I do too. But if you guys have any suggestions of something maybe we've touched upon that you would like us to flesh out, or
I'm still rooting for International Night. Everyone watch a different international movie, and then we'll all come together and report on what the kids overseas are doing.
That's the first time I'm hearing about this.
We talked about it the other night.
We did?
Yeah.
When did we talk about this?
We talked about it because we talked about Phil had seen Tales from the Loop and you'd seen the German stuff. And
yeah.
I said, I'll watch Wandering Earth. And then Dave was like, I saw RRR, that Indian one that I've been talking about. He's like, it's unbelievable.
Oh, is that the one that's like over the top?
Yeah, total over the top.
Like total CGI.
Bollywood, CGI, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I care what the movie's about, but I just want everyone report on what's going on internationally. What are the kids overseas doing with these special effects?
Like, I don't know if everybody, I haven't seen it, but a lot of people like Squid Games apparently.
Squid Games, but that's not super special effect.
And I watched the other, because I know the Silent Sea, which I didn't think was.
Silent Sea. That was the other one that we were talking about.
That's Korean.
I just want to look at special effects because I had reported on one.
It was okay. It was visually they did a nice job with it. I think I don't know. For Doc could, because they're on the moon. I'm sure there's a lot of, science. I think that they played with quite a bit.
Oh, really?
And, so yeah. I mean,
The Last King. Was there a lot of special effects in The Last King, Martin? We're looking for international special effects. So like Dave had watched RRR, and then he also watched the Yamato one, so he could come and report on those and tell us what the kids overseas are doing.
Well, Yamato's, that's not a new movie.
No, that's true.
That's been out a long time.
Good point.
So I don't know, and then I saw the German one there.
The one that put you to sleep.
The one that was a great.
And then Phil watched the Scandinavian one and said that one put him to sleep, but I really like it. I think we might be onto something with this show, because I think it's just a different, the culture is just different, and the way we stuff, and I don't know if some of it just doesn't translate well to English. I don't know. I really don't. It's clearly a matter of opinion, but Dark was the one I'm talking about. That's right.
And it was that based on that A Journey Through Time book. But it was, some people really loved it. I mean, it was very popular, I guess. And I just, if you had trouble sleeping, this
will do it.
Between the music and the long pauses, and it's just, so all right, we'll consider that. We'll come up with something. You guys can always post up to us if you got an idea for something. So we always welcome to take ideas, because we want to do what you guys want us to do.
Yeah, we want you guys to have fun.
So, all right. On that note, we will say good night, and we'll see you next week, of course, with something. And of course, thank you for spending your hour with us, guys. We appreciate it. And,
all the things you can watch out there, and you, for some reason, chose
I don't know. Some reason. Here we are. We're going almost 3 years. So, all right. Good night. Live long and prosper, folks. And again, happy First Contact Day.
And happy First Contact Day.
Bye-bye.